I never imagined that I would be the one to take down the notorious HOA president in our neighborhood, but when someone breaks into your home, you don't exactly have options. Let me explain how it all started. I moved into Oakwood Estates around 6 months ago. It appeared ideal, peaceful streets, impeccably kept lawns, and generally welcoming neighbors. Mostly welcoming, at least. In my very first week, as I was still unpacking boxes, there came a sharp knock on my door. There stood a woman in her 50s, with a neat blonde bob haircut and dressed in a blazer that practically announced, "I demand to speak to your manager. I'm Patricia Winters, president of the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association," she announced, with a tight smile that never reached her eyes. "I noticed your garbage bins were left out past 8 o'clock a.m. yesterday. According to our bylaws, all bins must be removed from street view within 2 hours of collection." I apologized, explaining that I was still getting settled. She handed me a thick binder filled with HOA rules, tapping a perfectly manicured nail on the cover. "Please familiarize yourself with these. We take great pride in maintaining our community standards," she stated with a cold tone that left me feeling uneasy. Little did I realize that this was merely the start of my ongoing issue with Patricia, or Karen, as the neighbors quietly referred to her. Within that first month, I received written notices about my mailbox being one shade darker than the approved beige, wind chimes that were not on the pre-approved list of garden decorations, and apparently, my grass measuring exactly half an inch too tall on a Tuesday afternoon. At first, I complied with everything. I was new and wanted to be a considerate neighbor, but the violations grew increasingly petty and frequent. One evening, I overheard my next-door neighbor, Tom, cautioning his visiting sister about Karen's inspection habits. "She patrols the area with a ruler and a color swatch book," Tom explained. "But the worst part is that some residents swear she has entered their yards when no one was home. The HOA holds master keys for emergencies, and rumors suggest she uses them whenever it suits her." That conversation sent a shiver down my spine. The following day, I decided to install a full security camera system. 4 outdoor cameras and 3 indoor ones, all linked directly to my phone. I didn't expect to truly need them, but it seemed wiser to be prepared. For the next few weeks, things remained relatively calm. I received only 2 violation notices, one for leaving a garden hose uncoiled in plain view, and another for allowing a visiting friend to park their car on the street overnight. But then I began noticing minor details around my house that felt strange. My garden shears were not where I had left them. A potted plant on my back porch appeared to have been shifted slightly. Initially, I chalked it up to my own forgetfulness. Then one afternoon, I returned home early from work and discovered fresh footprints in the mulch of my flower bed, footprints far too small to be mine. With mounting unease, I reviewed my security footage. What I saw chilled me to the core. There, clear as day, was Patricia or Karen approaching my back door, glancing around furtively, then producing a key. My key. She unlocked the door and slipped inside. I fast-forwarded through the recording, staring in disbelief as she roamed through my home for nearly 40 minutes. She opened kitchen cabinets, peered inside my refrigerator, and even sifted through the mail on my counter. She measured the height of my curtains, checked my bathroom for mold, and at one point actually sniffed my laundry hamper with a look of disgust. Throughout it all, she jotted notes on a clipboard and occasionally snapped photos. I could hardly process what I was witnessing. This went far beyond any HOA rule infraction. This was breaking and entering. This was criminal. I immediately backed up the footage to several devices and contacted the police. When the officer arrived, I showed him the video evidence. His face grew more serious with every minute. "Sir, this is clear-cut unlawful entry," he said. "Do you wish to press charges?" Did I want to press charges against the neighborhood HOA president, who obviously had far too much time and authority on her hands, the woman who had been tormenting me with trivial violations while committing a grave crime herself? Absolutely, I did. But first, there was a board meeting I needed to attend. The monthly HOA meeting was set for the next evening, and I arrived early, laptop in hand. Karen was at the front of the room reviewing her agenda when I walked in. She barely acknowledged me, offering only a dismissive glance. We'll begin with new violations, she announced, once the meeting started. Starting with 1472 Oakwood Drive. That's you, Mr. Reynolds. She gave me a pointed look. Your porch light is not the approved wattage, and, actually, I interrupted, standing up. I'd like to discuss a serious violation of both HOA rules and state law. The room grew quiet. Specifically, I'd like to address how our HOA president has been entering homes without permission or notice. Karen's face flushed crimson. That's absolutely false. As president, I have the authority to conduct inspections, not inside private homes without notice or permission, I said calmly, opening my laptop, and certainly not to go through personal belongings. I connected my computer to the projector and played the footage. The gasps from the other homeowners were audible. Karen's unauthorized tour through my house played out in high definition for everyone to see. When it showed her opening my medicine cabinet and photographing the contents, someone in the back actually shouted, "What the hell, Patricia?" Karen stood frozen, her face alternating between deathly pale and bright red. This is taken out of context," she stammered. "As HOA president, I have certain responsibilities to ensure compliance. Show us where in the bylaws it says you can enter homes without permission," demanded Tom from across the room. Several other neighbors murmured in agreement. The HOA treasurer, retired attorney named Mr. Grayson, cleared his throat. There is absolutely no provision in our bylaws or in state law that allows for warrantless entry into private residences. Patricia, if this video is authentic, you've exposed the entire board to significant liability. What happened next was a blur of activity. The board immediately called for an emergency executive session. I was asked to wait outside, but I could hear the raised voices through the door. 20 minutes later, they emerged, and Mr. Grayson announced that Patricia had been temporarily removed from her position pending investigation, but that was just the beginning. The next morning, 2 police officers arrived at Karen's house with a warrant. Apparently, after reviewing my footage, they had obtained permission to search her home. What they found was shocking. A drawer full of copied keys labeled with different addresses. A detailed notebook cataloging her inspections of at least 7 houses in the neighborhood, and photographs of the inside of multiple homes. The neighborhood was in an uproar. It turned out I wasn't the first victim, just the first one with proof. Karen was arrested on multiple charges: breaking and entering, unlawful entry, invasion of privacy, and possession of stolen property. Those keys weren't hers to coddle. News traveled fast in our small community. By evening, local news vans were parked at the entrance to our subdivision. Karen's face was plastered across the 6 o'clock news as she was escorted to a police car, still insisting that she was just doing her job as HOA president. The following week, a judge denied her request for dismissal of charges. Her attorney tried to argue that, as HOA president, she believed she had implicit permission to enter homes for inspection purposes. The judge wasn't buying it. The bylaws of a homeowners association do not supersede state law regarding unlawful entry, the judge said sternly, and they certainly don't authorize rifling through someone's personal belongings. In the end, Karen accepted a plea deal, 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, a $5,000 fine, and she was permanently barred from serving on any HOA board. She also had to pay for changing the locks of every home she had entered. The look on her face when the judge announced the sentence was priceless, a mixture of shock, indignation, and the slow realization that her reign of neighborhood terror was officially over. But who will enforce the rules? She actually asked the courtroom, seemingly unable to grasp that her actions were criminal, not a civic duty.